Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So on behalf of CPC and the Space-Time Lab, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all to this closing event of the CPC project. 4 years ago, we opened the CPC project full of excitement and actually also full of uncertainty. So today is a day we can review how much has been achieved, and also importantly, to share with you the experience, the achievement, and more importantly, the lessons we have learned. So it's my great pleasure to welcome you and also to thank you to be here with us today. So I want to take this opportunity to thank our guest speakers. You will say their talks in a minute, and for their time and efforts to join us in the debate about big data for the modern society. So without further ado, I want to invite Dr. Celia Colcott, for the Vice Provost of UCL Enterprise, to give her welcome address on behalf of UCL. Celia, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. It's one of the greatest privileges and responsibilities as well that Vice Provosts have of coming to events like this and welcoming our colleagues, our friends from other universities and other bodies and organisations, and to recognise the great advances we make together in thinking about the challenges that society has, or the advancement of knowledge that we can make working together. When I came to UCL, I didn't realise how big a responsibility and privilege it would be doing this, and it is my great pleasure to be here this morning. I don't really need to remind us that UCL is one of the world's leading research universities and research-intensive universities, that it is comprehensive, and in that sense it contributes to thought, education, research in all areas. But I think there are a couple of things that are really important to reflect about UCL, which are reflected absolutely in this project. And one is that as a university, we aspire not only to consider research and comment on the world around us, but we aspire to and actively do engage with it. We are a willing participant in trying to solve some of the problems of society. We are also early adopters often of ways of tackling things. That's part of our DNA, in a sense our determination to be radical and different. And this project is clearly an aspect of that. I come from bioscience. I can tell some good stories about in my early days of realising what was happening with data in bioscience. We watched how marvellous the physicists were at being organised and knowing what to do with the volumes of data that they were producing. Well, biology, of course, now through the human genome and other genome projects and all the other omics and many other things, including imaging, is producing so much data that we don't really know how to handle it, let alone analyse, interpret and use it. But what's become quite clear is that the thing big data, we use that term without perhaps a real understanding of what we mean, big data has become far bigger than physics, astronomy, biology. It's become something that all of society is involved with and interested in. And that's one of the radical things that we're seeing here today, and you can see developing as the use of data it's being brought to application and benefit for society. And that's really important. So today, you'll be looking at an important project that's been sponsored by EPSRC as part of our global uncertainties thinking in UCL, is involving the Metropolitan Police and ourselves and other colleagues. Today, you'll be thinking about and understanding how we've advanced in how big data can be used in the context of civil society and engagement with the police. I think that's a fantastic opportunity. I hope you have a really valuable day working together, learning more about this project. I'm absolutely sure it will contribute to how we in this country and human beings globally develop in our society and our management of civil action and civil integration. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Celia. So, as you can see, we have a very busy program today. So before we go to the individual report of individual researchers, so I'm going to give you an overview of the project. So this is as an overview and also introduction, because later on, the individual researchers were going to report what data they're going to use. So when CPC started, which was in 2012, actually the proposal was started about 2010, so it's a long time ago. However, the challenge in policing haven't changed greatly since we started, I would say. So at that time, we think about the crime have very typical spatial temporal characteristics. They are distributed unevenly in space and time. They're influenced by ebb and forms. And for citizens, as you can see, especially in London, it's very dynamic. The population keeps on changing. So it's their satisfaction and the confidence in policing. And some areas, they find the confidence is dropping, and actually which is very bizarre compared with the reducing of crime. So for Met Police, they have a target to reduce the major crime types by 20%. But for public confidence, they want to boost them for another 20%. However, the budget is going to cut for 20%. So how come Metropolitan Police can do more with less resource? There's one thing, actually, gave their kind of opportunity, which make it possible, is the increased availability of technology. And more importantly, all the data coming with this technology. That means all the Metropolitan Police officers and their vehicles have their GPS tagged with them. So by that, we're able to understand how they do their job. Of course, for crime data, they're reported to Metropolitan Police at a daily basis every day, more than 10,000 crime data being reported. And also, Metropolitan Police have what they call a quarterly public attitude survey. So all this data can tell us a lot about the citizens, about the city, and also the crime and the police performance. So based on that, we proposed, can we do something to help Metropolitan Police to really make their police more effectively or more intelligently? So based on that, we say maybe we can use network complexity to try to think of integratedly about the crime, police, and the citizens, and model the interaction between them, so we can really help policing. So luckily, we got the funding from EPSRC and with the support of Metropolitan Police to start this project in 2012. So what do we do? So we think about, if we're going to use the data, it's really we're making of a data-driven approach. So we made our definition, which is slightly different from what was or currently available, even now currently available in the market. So about the data-driven policing, it's not only about prediction. Yeah, prediction is very important, but more importantly, the police should be able to use it easily. So that's why we propose we should do everything around the network, because network is the way the city be structured. Network is how the policemen walk around to do their job. And another aspect we think about, if we talk about the predictive policing, if you want the police to use it, they got to be confident in your prediction. So the accuracy is important. You have to really convince them. This is something really, really intelligent, right? So we think about all comprehensive evaluation framework is needed to understand the accuracy of your prediction. And the third thing is, for police resource, how we think the police has been used wisely, how it's been used effectively. Do they do their coordination more intelligently? So that means we need to have tools to help the senior officer to make their plan, and also to help the frontline officers to do their job. So tools needed for both of them. And thirdly, is really say, yes, if you give your tool to the policeman, if your tool is good, but they really follow it, so how good is your tool? So we need the feedback of that. So in terms of that, we need to have tools and the method to evaluate the performance and also to refine the strategy. So that's kind of our manifesto of intelligent policing. So policing is not about only the prediction, but also about how you react to it, how you evaluate it, okay? So that's the whole philosophy of this project. So our approach, as you can see, I'm the principal investigator. I come background of geoinformatics. We have my co-I, Professor Kate Bowers, is from crime science, Professor Poloni is from geography, and Professor John Shaw Taylor is from computer science. For my research team, the whole CPC team has very diverse background from mathematics, GIS, geography, and social science. So it's a really multidisciplinary approach because the issues, crime and police and the citizen is multidisciplinary. And we make use of complexity theory, as I said, because the fundamental thing, everything is spatially, temporally distributed. So we use integrated spatial temporal thinking and modeling. We use networks to represent and for analysis. And we make use of machine learning, statistical regression, and agent-based simulation. So any modern classical approach has been explored in this project to make it useful for policing. So it's very practical focus. We have very close cooperation with our industrial partner, Mr. Trevor Adams. He's the head of data development of Metropolitan Police. So very close. Trevor has been with us from day one and also with us today. And every individual meetings he was there, gave us advice, supervision, and make sure this is valid somehow to policing. And we have our security lab in UCL, so we are able to test our algorithm in the lab on site. That's the advantage many probably other academics wouldn't have it. So we feel very privileged in that sense. And also very luckily, we're able to test our prototype in Metropolitan Police. So some of the researchers has been working there to do the trial. So with all this, we're able to deliver what we can today. So big data, okay, I'm not going to talk all about this slide, just tell you what data we've been using in this project. So when we started, we used to say CAT data set. CAT data set is a data set the police record. Each individual reported crime, no matter it's from telephone, internet, or on street. So those data sets is each individual crime record. And for police movement, we have GPS data for foot patrol officers, which originally is 50 minutes. Now, luckily, they move to every 5 minutes, they have a point of the movement. And for vehicles, every second, almost every second, police vehicles have a record. And for metropolitan public attitude surveying, we have quarterly data. We are able to be luckily access the original postcode level, but still, those data is very, very sparse. So for that data, we really feel they can only be valid for borough level analysis. So that leads up to the last bit on the side. For the community mapping, actually, we do some detailed interview to further understanding this data set. And to make use of the data, actually, we use lots of UK data archive data, for example, census data, which can help us more about what's the relevance of those elements to people. And because we use other British crime surveying data and also make use TFL, their data network data set. I'm not going to go through a method because we're going to listen to more later on. So what have been achieved? So very quickly to look at what have been achieved. So we have developed what we called cutting-edge algorithm for crime prediction. So for most of existing algorithms, they do grade-based. That means this really relevant somehow to how the data been recorded. Because for crime data in London originally is 250 meters times 250 meters grade. Now we move to 150 meters to 150 meters. I think now we can even more accurate. However, most of the data is grade-based, so that's why most methods are grade-based. So I think Gabriel later on will talk more about what's the issue relevant to grade-based, okay? And of course, I think today, hopefully, the audience come from Japan. And in Japan, for their administrating of police, actually, is regional-based. Prefect is their kind of unit. So actually, we also think this method is important if your force is working on units. So we have a regional-based method. And more importantly, we think network-based because that can really guide the police to precisely which segment you should go. So that's what we have done. So that's what I said. Gabe, you're going to talk about network-based and why it's important and why it's more accurate. As I said, to really say the method is valid, we need to really evaluate the accuracy. So we propose a very comprehensive accuracy evaluation. We use 2 case studies, Chicago and Camden, and you can really compare how accurate the individual, so how accurate each individual method could be. And also we try to understand how different, how easy police can patrol based on what we call the competitiveness. And also we can see which method can really capture the dynamics of the emerging crime. And of course, you can also say how complementary each method is. So based on that, we feel this can really give you a very comprehensive understanding of your method. So that's crime. Now move to policing. There's lots of things we can do with policing. So one of the work is basically based on the movement of police vehicle data. We can try to understand how police move around on the street. So this is what we call the topic modeling. And based on that, we can really build a model based on your actual data set to predict what's your data set. So based on that, you can really say, yes, if you really want to develop a model, you can really simulate how you do your work in reality. So it's much more accurate than other methods we have so far. And another work is, if we have police data set, we have a crime data set as well. So we can really understand, is policing really give a strong deterrence of crime? So that's one of piece of work. Another work we can do for senior officer. So we give you the predicted map, you have your crime data set, and also we know where policemen has been moved around. So is all the policemen really go the place they should go, or they go the place they shouldn't go so much? So that's why we said there are streets probably over-patrolled. That means they really shouldn't go there so much. And there are some streets they should go more. This actually also consider about the structure of networks, because we can see for central location, you may say police always have to drive around there. So this all has been considered in the evaluation. So this will be a very useful tool for the operational chief commander to really identify which safety neighborhood they should have to do more patrol in that area, which we haven't. So they can adjust their resource. Another thing about the police evaluation, performance evaluation, basically this is for foot patrol officer. So we have their GPS track every 5 minutes, so we can say how they move around in space and time. So they have 3 shifts every day. So based on that, we can use some method which we call the space-time clustering, really understand where the police visit most during particular time. So this is 3 hotspot area in space, but actually they are really concentrated on particular time period. So based on that, we can understand which policeman could have a similar pattern with another policeman, so we can group them to understand their behavior. So that's the kind of clustering of the result, and also we can say where they focused on. So you can say one particular police type, say for the group 1, you can say the officer, group 3 may be better. Group 3 can really say that basically the senior officer, the most stay in their office, okay? So that's quite obvious, but they have much other implications as well. Based on that, we can also summarize how much time they have been used for patrolling, how much time they've been used for reporting, how much time they are been staying with the vehicles. So in that way, is another what kind of evidence-based policing. So you know where your resources are being spent on. So yes, that's about the evaluation. So look at how we can do the job more intelligently. Can we facilitate the senior officers to do their job relatively easy? Because especially right now, the whole security issue around the big cities. So in terms of that, and also of the budget cut. So if one police station needs to be closed, so how the whole picture will change? So we provide the tools for officers to understand the scenarios. So, and also if, say, we change the police behavior, so how the resource could be changed. So based on that, we have a simulation to understand. Another thing for frontline officers, as I said, we have the very nice network-based prediction. But how police should do their job? make them relatively easy so that they spend more time to patrol and links which have highest risk. So for that one, we develop what we call the online cooperative patrol strategy. So if we can have a centralized controlling system, can really facilitate frontline officer, this could be useful. Now, the final aspect is about the citizenships. So as I said, for public attitude surveying, we're able to do lots of analysis. One of the bit we have done is we try to associate it with geodemographics, because we think about, we have done lots of analysis. If purely at the data, it's very difficult to have strong association only related to age, gender, or ethnic background. However, we find a very strong association with a geodemograph. That means to say a group of people stay in a particular place and have particular social demographic characteristics. And another work, as I said, for the policemen, their work is working at the safety neighborhood level. And for all the public attitude surveying, it's very, very sparse for such a purpose. So if it's possible, can we do some estimation and do some prediction about public confidence at a small level, a small area level? So that's another piece of work. However, we also found out, actually, confidence have a strong association with trust, which is the area has been fully explored in current Metropolitan Police attitude surveying. So we take a mental model approach. So what it means? That means to say, if we ask anyone in the room, or if anyone, or actually we interviewed senior officers in MPS, and also we interviewed general public, actually in one of the borough in London, and also several in the whole London. So we asked them, so if we ask you, what's the concern you may have if you talk about trust in confidence in policing? So police, crime, and people all come up. And one more element actually also come up later, I'll show you. Then we ask them, say, what's the main thing? They will all say, yeah, we worry about don't make a mistake, you need to follow up, you have personal experience, art experience, perception, all this is all coming up in both expert and also general public. However, in police, in expert, they said, yes, we want to have high visibility, but actually for general public, they talk about, I want they have a high present. And then experts think we should look smart. Actually, citizens say, oh yeah, I want them to look professional. But of course, how define look smart and professional? They maybe means the same thing, but they use a different term. However, the huge difference as well. So for citizens, the major concern is listed here, which is not mentioned at all in expert model. And the same way, lots of things mentioned from police side, honesty, broke down windows communication, actually not mentioned for citizens at all. So it's kind of some big gap somehow between experts and the general public. So if that's the case, so that means lots of implication for this. And one more element actually has been mentioned on both sides is policing, is expert with expert and the general public is media. So we all know media play very, very important role in our daily life. So it's for the confidence or satisfaction of policing. So really having to engage with media to help general public to understand the police better and boost their confidence is a crucial thing. Anyhow, to summarize, say what's the policy implication from all this? So we think we can draw it very briefly here, which is to have more details in your report. So really says three things. For the very, very senior officers, say, really want to improve the public confidence, we probably have to think about this public attitude survey can be changed, can be revised, and also to fit in for modern society, because now internet has been widely used as well, how to accommodate in that. And the next thing, if we really want to reduce the cost and to improve the confidence for senior officers to do more for less, really I would like to say, propose to say, can the tools we develop today can be further developed and implemented so they can really test all the scenarios. And for frontline officers, their job is to reduce crime, to prevent the crime, to really say, can they use the tool? Okay. So that's a summary, a lot of it, and I don't want to read all of it. I really say there's a great challenge and opportunity here. Intelligent policing is really not only about the prediction, but also to how to act on it and how to evaluate the action. So really means we need a behavior change from a senior officer and a front officer. And they all, I heard from my industry partner, there are some good news is that many senior officers in several boroughs in London, they are very, very keen to use the intelligent policing. But they are also, other people probably haven't got used the mind to do it. So that means we need training and also need openness about this modern technology. I want to end this with a story, okay, in economics last October. I know you probably not able to read all of it. So read what it says. There's one software, a particular software called predictive policing, it's called PREPO, which has been widely used in America and also has been used in this country and also in other countries in Japan. So when I was in Japan, I paid a visit, I gave a talk to the policemen come from Tokyo. So actually they said, actually we use PREPO. We find probably not that easy to use, or the result is not very good. Actually, that's what I'm saying here. I don't know if any policemen come from Kent, but no often, but that's what mentioned here. But Kent policemen said, they are using PREPO, but they don't find the result is very good. Actually, they find a 10% increase in their crime. So that's what they said. So even when British police force use these tools, they don't use them well. So one of the reasons they said the trouble was policemen are not going well, PREPO told them to go. Okay, so what does it mean? Because PREPO really told you there's a block, 250 meters block. There are many, many segments on the block, so which segment they should go? Maybe that's one of the reasons they don't go. So what it really means, I want to say, yes, there are tools, maybe the tools is not good enough. However, we really hope, say, there are tools, we hope we have better tools here right now. We can do network-based prediction. We can really help you to tell you where should go. And also we try to help you to evaluate, say, yeah, do you do good job? Is this is good too? However, by all means, I think I want to end up with one more line, say, which actually was talked by Chief Superintendent B.J. Horriton from Compton. He visited us a while ago. And he said, intelligent policing is not a dictating policing. It's really a tool to facilitate policing, so can help them to make a more smart decision. That's the end of my talk. Thank you very much for your attention. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day.